Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Anti-Semite. Right now. Senator, you're asking the questions, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
Hardly saying that, and I have.
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
On behalf not simply of myself, but on of my many Jewish friends who would have the same questions, which is to what extent, and it's interesting you're trying to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with the foreign government.
Isn't Israel controlling our foreign policy? That's not about the Jews.
You said, I'm asking you.
And by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. So let's be clear.
It's sleazy to imply that I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
No, I just said, why is that the only question you're asking? You answer it. Give me another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran.
Gentlemen, we just watched a heated exchange in an interview with Tucker Carlson and U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. Both men obviously were no fan of one another in this interview. Tucker Carlson, I believe, raised a couple of legitimate questions, and I feel the U.S. Senator chose not to answer those questions directly. I don't believe that Tucker Carlson, and I'm no fan of his, nor am I a fan of U.S. Senator Ted Cruz. I've disagreed vehemently with both men. But I don't believe that Tucker Carlson was wrong in questioning and raising legitimate questions about the influence of AIPAC involved in America's foreign policy in the Middle East. When you watch the Western media in this country, you would believe and think that it's Iran that attacked Israel when it's Israel that started this war and attacked Iran, under the basis that they were so close to making nuclear weapons. Well, if that's the case, why has not America and its allies attacked North Korea? Why didn't it attack Pakistan? Russia poses a legitimate threat to America, and has stated so, but we have not chosen to invade and bomb them. Many MAGA supporters, which is the base of President Trump, does not want to see America enter into another war in the Middle East. They went from nuclear weapons to neutralizing Iran's ability to create a nuclear atomic bomb to now saying they want regime change. They said the same thing in Iraq and how they work out for us. They said the same thing in Afghanistan. The Taliban was so wicked, but we gave the country back to the Taliban. Said the same thing in Syria. Get rid of Assad and things would be much more safer in that region. But now we got a terrorist government running Syria with America's help. Said the same thing in Libya with Muammar Gaddafi. Now look at Muammar Gaddafi's country, Libya. It's now a terrorist hotbed for those who wish to make war in the Middle East and don't like Israel. We cannot be in the business of regime change in the Middle East. We don't have a good history, nor does Israel have one, in changing regimes and making that region safer. I believe that questioning Israel's foreign policy and how they choose to prosecute this war does not make one anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. It just allows you to raise a legitimate question, because nobody wants to see America in this war. To the last poll I just witnessed, Charles, 63% of Americans want America to not enter this war. But, I'm interested in what you got to say, Charles.
Well, I will start off with, you brought up a lot of topics, and you'll have to concede that have long been accused, I think validly, of having strong anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist positions, some of which you now reject. But I think at the base it lingers, and you can see it both. So when he was challenged, when Tucker was challenged by Ted Cruz, and much like you, I don't really care for any of them. I haven't cared for Ted since he decided his political career was more important than standing up for his wife when Donald Trump issued some very inappropriate insults of her. I don't think you could ever, someone says that kind of stuff about your wife, you don't ever play on his team ever, even if it means losing your job. So I don't want to be seen here as someone defending Ted Cruz. I think he's often a hypocrite. I think he's smarmy. I've heard stories about his time. Obviously, we both went to HLS at different times. I've heard stories about his behavior there. Just not a fan. So I don't want to be struck. But when you are accused of any ism, right? It would be like the million times you called me racist. You've never heard me say, hey, man, I used to do a radio show with the king of the ghetto Zero. I can't be a racist. Hey, I'm friends with Bun B. I can't be a racist. Hey, I got all these black friends. That's not an appropriate answer. It's not an appropriate answer for Tucker to say, oh, I got Jewish friends. I can't be an anti-Semite or an anti-Zionist. I think it's far more appropriate for Americans to be an anti-Zionist, which is just a disagreement with the policies of Israel, versus an anti-Semite. But the problem is most people conflate the two. And we've seen time after time after time since October 7th, which was a war by extreme Islamists funded in part by Iran and an attack on Israel, right, by Gazans, that people in America, mainly other Islamists, have conflated being Jewish with being a Zionist, and we've seen violent attack after violent attack after violent attack after violent attack. You have one incident in America where a non-Jewish landlord murders a Muslim, and then all of a sudden we hear from you and everyone else, oh, Islam is under attack. But the truth is, right, Islamists have been attacking the world and chanting death to America and death to Israel for decades. If you go into any AI and you say, well, what does Iran mean by death to America or death to Israel? You've got to listen to a nonsensical lecture about, oh, well, they don't really mean to kill Americans. They don't really mean to kill Israelis. They just want to kill their foreign policy, which of course is not it. And it's the same with the Gazans and the people that we call Palestinians, right? If you look at the offer for a two-state solution that was made by Clinton and agreed to by Israel and then rejected by the Gazans, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, right? They'd have 40% of the state of Israel right now, right? They would have a part of Jerusalem, if not the whole thing, but they don't want it, right? Because the solution only is the elimination of the Israeli state, right? That's the sole goal, right? Now, I'm against our soldiers getting involved in combat, but I'll tell you what, the moment a rocket hits an American base, there needs to be a heavy-handed response. And if you'll look at the rhetoric from Khomeini about America paying a price, and America has paid prices. We've forgotten about 9/11, apparently, right? And we've seen attacks.
But the Iranian government had nothing to do with that.
Okay. I'm talking about radical Islam, which is a cancer that is spreading throughout the United States, right? Because we talk about, oh, like, Tucker. Hey, look, I admire any journalist that asks tough questions of politicians. Every interview with a journalist by an elected politician should be this type of combat, right? But when Tucker was interviewing Ted Cruz for Fox News, right? Softballs. He didn't get them hard-hitting questions because he was on.
Was that because of the network's policy on restraining Mr. Tucker from raising those legitimate questions?
It's because he is a prostitute, right? And now he's getting funding from elsewhere, so he doesn't care, and he sees it as a benefit to him, right? I think every politician, Democrat politicians rarely, if ever, engage hostile media. One thing that you've got to applaud Donald Trump for is Donald Trump is always willing to engage the most hostile of media and get in arguments, right? And I admire Cruz for taking the tough questions, and I admire Tucker in this instant, both of them in this one instance, for asking the tough questions, but he really went in an agenda, and it was an anti-Israel agenda. I am anti-Americans going to war, right? I posted about it a week ago. I'm not just making this up. I was anti the war in Iraq. I felt like we were blaming the inappropriate parties instead of blaming the radicalism in Saudi Arabia, instead of looking at the Taliban.
Charles, here's my concern. It's not that same radical thought process that you like to always point out existing in Saudi Arabia. So why has not Israel bombed or attacked Saudi Arabia?
Well, because Saudi Arabia is not a threat to Israel. That same
anti-Israel sentiment in Pakistan, but why has Israel not bombed Pakistan? Because they know better. Because what Israel is doing is picking on a country much weaker than them, starting a conflict with the help of the American government to process a idea in the Middle Eastern region so they can annex that whole territory. I would not be surprised if we enter that
There's a
war,
reason
and then
why
Donald
a
Trump,
number of other
after they bomb
Muslim
Iran, come to both
regimes.
American people and say, I see real estate opportunities.
Okay. It's not them trying to get real estate in Iran. That's just absurd. There are a number of Muslim regimes that are allowing Israel to shoot down rockets in their airspace. And the truth is, quietly, most of the Middle East, right, is very happy at the thought of Israel destroying Iran's ability to build nuclear weapons and forcing regime change, right? The truth is that while there's radicalism in Saudi Arabia, it was not government-sponsored radicalism, right? And while Saudi Arabia tries to normalize ties with Israel and keeps getting pushed back by radical regimes like Iran, right? The reality is that no one other than those seeking to destabilize the world, China and Russia, have any interest.
So
right,
why is
in
not
the
so
Iranian
if China,
crazy
if Iran,
death cult government building
if Israel can bomb
nuclear
Iran,
bombs?
If Israel can bomb Iran because Israel feels threatened by Iran, what is the American
appropriately?
But wait. So would it be appropriate for America to bomb Russia? Is not Russia a threat to America?
No, they're not.
Has not Russia been found to interfere in American elections? Is not China guilty of attempting to interfere in American elections? Is not China also a threat?
Okay. We are constantly in a state of stalemate with both of those countries, but the truth is that China and Russia and America all have a very intertwined economic interest and geopolitical and global interests, right? Whereas Iran is run by people who just want death, right? Where they raise children indoctrinated in the belief that dying as a martyr by killing Jews and killing Americans is a good thing. And we want to act like it's politically correct and Islamophobic to call that out. But it's not. It's not a criticism of the Muslim religion. It's a criticism
the same thing about exterminating all Arabs and exterminating all Muslims. That happened in Israel too. Yeah, those same schools in Israel.
Every time I talk, you interrupt me. And the truth is what you don't want to hear. You don't want to hear that everyone is quietly glad that those monsters aren't going to be able to build a bomb, that Israel is doing something for everybody. I don't want American soldiers involved.
Why do you have hundreds of thousands of people protesting in Israel right now? Why do you have hundreds of thousands of Israelis protesting Benjamin Netanyahu in this war, protesting in Israel right now?
The Iraqi women or the Iranian women celebrating that there might be regime change, so there's not radical oppression.
Charles, you just had 5 million
Let's talk about
people.
all the Christians that were forced to flee Iran when the Khomeini took over. Let's talk about the evil of that Islamist regime.
You just had
and why.
5
I think
million
Netanyahu
Americans
makes bad decisions. But you know what? Every time Israel elects a prime minister who's not a war hawk, what happens? Radical Iranians kill women and children.
5 million Americans take to the streets in America. 5 million to protest a no-king protest, calling our sitting president a dictator. So who are we in America?
Well, on Fox Face Off, we tell the raw, unadulterated truth.
Fox Soul Face Off.
We are given the platform here with no fear.
Always comes out swinging.
We should be saying, hey, stop shooting and killing people.
Nothing held back.
They wanted black hip-hop moguls and artists to continue the feud.
No punches pulled.
You interrupt me all the time.
Tune into the show where opinions collide. Fox Soul Face Off. New episodes weeknights at 9 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
Hey, it's your girl, Carolina Sanchez, and The Nightcap is the late-night show where no topic is off limits. Join me as we dive into the wild world of relationships, sex, and everything in between. From hilarious dating disasters to steamy secrets, you know we've got it all. We've got celebrity guests, expert advice, and a cocktail in hand. The Nightcap is your guilty pleasure. So grab your drink and tune in because the best stories start after dark.
The Nightcap. New episodes weeknights at 10:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation, but blood is needed to save the lives of people who are sick with a range of illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
I'm Isaiah Carey, here to shake things up with the stories that hit hard and matter most. Here on The Factor, we cover news with grit and authenticity. We challenge the status quo and get down to real talk and bold discussions. Join us as we amplify the voices that disrupt, inspire, and lead the charge for change. Your story is power, and we're here to unleash it.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored. New episodes weeknights at 9:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car.
Where the Iranian regime is today in 2025 is nothing compared to the United States.
Hanging black people. So
it is not even the same. I couldn't step during this.
Wait. That's not what you mean to say. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025, the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit into Iran.
Listen, I'm sorry.
Listen, I can't have my hair showing. I can't wear a skirt. I can't have my arms out.
I'm telling you,
I literally said it was up to the Iranian people.
Yes,
it is up to them.
And that's why I am saying that it is the same. Murdering someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it. It's not good.
I think it's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go to Tehran. Do not anyone at this table should go to Tehran.
You know, this is exactly what I was talking about. In Iran, we have women celebrating the attempts to topple the regime by the Israeli government because of their lifetime of oppression, their inability to be educated, their inability to be out in public without an escort, their inability to dine in restaurants without a man, the requirement that they always have a headscarf on. We obviously had famously, just a couple of you, sadly, a student who refused, beat to death by the government. And that's the key issue, right? And you have that celebration, the hope of just a taste of a little bit freedom. And then you have this very wealthy celebrity superstar who is engaging in this grievance. That's not, Black Americans don't have a monopoly on it, right? We have all kinds of Americans now that want to belabor the horror of their American existence and just how bad it is, and that you can't understand my pain. And of course, she was talking to a woman who has firsthand experience with the Muslim oppression, right? But she discounted everything she had to say and discounted reality to talk about how being a Black rich millionaire in America was just as bad as being a woman with no freedom living under the most repressive, well, maybe Afghanistan's more, but one of the two most oppressive Islamist regimes in the world. And it's just nonsense. And it was disgusting for her to say. We're not talking about yesteryear, which I'm sure you will get to, Quadell, and of course she was alluding to. We're talking about the last half century. We're talking about, more importantly, this conversation was about 2025 today, right? Where what Whoopi would have you believe is that the level of oppression she experiences and that other Black female Americans and Black Americans generally experience is the same as what's going on for Iranian women. And it's a disgusting lie, right? And she went over, we don't know, we have to worry about our kids if they go out and they run from the wrong person. Hey, we want to have a real conversation. We do need to be worried about kids, especially in urban African-American communities. They are faced the threat of robbery, murder, death every single day. However, it's not at the hands of law enforcement, which, although gets platformed by the media, is still an incredibly rare event for Black Americans. It is more rare for white Americans and Asian Americans, but if you factor for the levels of crime commission, it equals out. And actually in America right now, there are more unarmed white Americans who suffer the use of deadly force from police than the Black demographic, right? It's all nonsense and hype, right? In other settings, let's say like universities, there is long been abject preference for African-American applicants against similarly situated Asian and white applicants. And we're not talking forever, because it used to be the opposite, but it's been that way for about 35 years, right? When we're talking about corporate hiring, if you look at corporate hiring post-COVID, you know, the one person not getting hired, well, that's white men, right? Because it's all been, hey, this super strong focus on DEI, right? And I'm not one to condemn affirmative action, but I'm also not one to support radicalized discrimination, whether it was the horror of Jim Crow or what's going on to many white Americans now, right? Unless you can check some other box, right? There's an interesting song going on TikTok about a guy that says he pretends to be bi so he could get a job, but he really isn't. Right. And we in America, we do have bias right now, but it's not what Whoopi's talking about. And we've got to maybe let go of this nonsense that we've all got this grievance and realize that Iranian women are oppressed because of radical Islam, which is an evil death cult.
Let me say this to the American people. Whenever you hear a white man advocating for the rights of women around the world, be extremely cautious of what you're listening to. The greatest oppressor of women in America.
You're a member of the nation. You're an avowed Muslim.
Have been white.
How do you feel about women's rights, Cornell?
Charles, you went on for 7 minutes and 30 seconds. I didn't interrupt.
You interrupt me all the time, so that's going to fall on deaf ears. Every segment you interrupt me. You just said that I can't be a feminist, right?
Of women in this country. So we talk about Iran wanting to police the way a woman's dressed in Iran and how oppressive that really is. Well, it's just as oppressive, if not more oppressive, when you live in a country in America that will put a woman in jail if she wants to take birth control or contraceptives. It's just as oppressive in America where we put doctors in jail if they choose to give a woman an abortion when the woman's very life is on the line if she don't have it. So we live in a country that will put a woman in jail just for trying to protect herself and have control of her own body. She can face a prison sentence. So don't tell me a damn thing about Iran and how oppressive they are toward women when we got that same hypocrisy taking place right here in America. And now
what's weird is you're pro-life, you're anti-choice, you're anti-woman, right? You're telling me someone that is pro-choice about abortion.
I didn't cut you off. You went on for 7 minutes.
It's rape. She goes to prison for getting raped.
Whoopi Goldberg is speaking about what it's like for a black mother raising black children in America.
No, she's not. She's going, oh, woe is me.
And I'm going to say this to you. No white man has a right to try to critique how a black mother feels.
Yes, we do. It's called the First Amendment.
You don't have the moral authority to do so. But
I don't need moral. That's why we have this TV show. Right, because the belief that the white men can't have opinions on subjects because of the color of their skin.
Look at the murders in Iran. Look at the murders in America. Look at the murders in America. And look at the rapes in America.
Murder, rape
look
in
at
America.
The robberies. Look at the assaults. Look at the aggravated assaults right here in America.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. Not wondering anymore. Love, your mind.
Hey, it's your girl, Carolina Sanchez, and The Nightcap is the late night show where no topic is off limits. Join me as we dive into the wild world of relationships, sex, and everything in between. From hilarious dating disasters to steamy secrets, you know we've got it all. We've got celebrity guests, expert advice, and a cocktail in hand. The Nightcap is your guilty pleasure. So grab your drink and tune in because the best stories start after dark.
The Nightcap. New episodes weeknights at 10:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
I'm Isaiah Carey, here to shake things up with the stories that hit hard and matter most. Here on The Factor, we cover news with grit and authenticity. We challenge the status quo and get down to real talk and bold discussions. Join us as we amplify the voices that disrupt, inspire, and lead the charge for change. Your story is power, and we're here to unleash it.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored. New episodes weeknights at 9:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.
Well, on Fox Face Off, we tell the raw, unadulterated truth.
Fox Soul Face Off.
We are given the platform here with no fear.
Always comes out swinging.
We should be saying, hey, stop shooting and killing people.
Nothing held back.
They wanted black hip-hop moguls and artists to continue the feud.
No punches pulled.
And shut the hell up.
You interrupt me all the time.
Tune into the show where opinions collide. Fox Soul Face Off. New episodes weeknights at 9 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
I'm Isaiah Carey, here to shake things up with the stories that hit hard and matter most. Here on The Factor, we cover news with grit and authenticity. We challenge the status quo and get down to real talk and bold discussions. Join us as we amplify the voices that disrupt, inspire, and lead the charge for change. Your story is power, and we're here to unleash it.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored. New episodes weeknights at 9:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
I was a quarterback at Hardaway High School. College first-round draft pick during the football season, I would stop eating. But I didn't know I was depressed. We didn't have any education behind what mental health was. I started to learn it starts here first. If this is together, I'll be better as a father and as a husband. We have to redefine what being a strong man is and heal, love your mind.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Hey, it's your girl, Carolina Sanchez, and The Nightcap is the late night show where no topic is off limits. Join me as we dive into the wild world of relationships, sex, and everything in between. From hilarious dating disasters to steamy secrets, you know we've got it all. We've got celebrity guests, expert advice, and a cocktail in hand. The Nightcap is your guilty pleasure. So grab your drink and tune in because the best stories start after dark.
The Nightcap. New episodes weeknights at 10:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation, but blood is needed to save the lives of people who are sick with a range of illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
Hey, besties!
What is a bestie?
I like you.
She's fun.
It's about to be a good time!
She's always looking out for you.
Since you're my bestie, I will handle it for you.
She makes you think.
Here to uplift and empower.
She's always encouraging.
You are that girl.
Chelsea Edwards, your bestie in daytime.
I get the spiritual moments.
Chatting with Chelsea. New episodes weekdays at 5:30 or stream anytime on Fox Soul.
Ready to lose track of time the best way possible?
Rolling!
From the funniest videos to the wildest things online, we do the scrolling so you don't have to.
It's Usher.
He had that synthetic hair melting. You hear me? Why y'all talking about that lady hair like that? Ain't he alone?
Catch us every weeknight, 7 p.m. Central on on Fox Soul.
Louder for the people in the back.
The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to this very special edition of The Factor Uncensored on Juneteenth. And of course, going on right behind us at Shell Energy Stadium is the Gold Cup. And we'll talk to soccer legend Brian Ching on The Factor Uncensored just a little bit later. But now to the news. Many people are talking about it was in this legislative session in Texas that the legislature passed Senate Bill 3, calling for the ban of THC, and of course that will have an impact on many businesses here in the state of Texas. But what they're waiting on, it's not law just yet. They're waiting on the signature of Governor Abbott, and he has not signed it yet. Our guests are joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We have Court Akers from the Akers Law Firm and AJ from